Hey guys, okay, so I have coffee in hand and I have the Not Today Satan shirt on my body, so I'm ready to start this day. So I'm working on a blog post for you about procrastination. A lot of you have asked, how do you what's the best way to combat procrastination as a writer? And I hear this question phrased in multiple ways. So sometimes it's direct, right? It's how do you prevent procrastination or how do you combat that? Other times it's, what do you do when you've lost all your motivation? What do you do when you have writer's block, right? What do you do when you are unmotivated? Like it's the same question, different words. And if you think I don't struggle with it, you're incorrect. So here's the deal. What I've learned over the years, I am a procrastinator for sure. And just like with how do you combat procrastination, we can define procrastination, what it looks and feels like differently. But here are some common things in my own world, and I'd love to know if you identify. So one thing is I just will stare out the window for a while. One thing I'll find myself doing, and the key, by the way, is to notice how you express procrastination, because once you acknowledge that, you can catch yourself in the midst of it. One thing I'll do is I'll look into like I'm doing it right now. I'll look into the kitchen and I'll think that refrigerator needs to be cleaned, like the outside of it. So I'll think that it's imperative that I go do that right now. Or I'll think, oh my gosh, I need to, check on something on social media, right? That's the worst one for me. That's the worst culprit. I've actually taken social media, most of it off of my phone, because of that exact reason. I will turn on the TV. I will decide it's time to go get the mail. I will be like, oh my God, I have not talked to Jennifer in 32 minutes. I really need to place a phone call to her right now. So I'll do that. I will convince myself that I'm not procrastinating by starting another activity that has to do with writing. So instead of writing my book, I'll think, I'm just going to write a blog. Or I'll think, I'm going to read this article over here about the types of blogs to write, or why blogging is really important, even though I don't like doing it. I'm not saying I don't like doing it. I'm just saying people will have all these crazy excuses, and that's what they are. And that's what they are for me too. Let's just call it what it is. So when all is said and done, here's why I procrastinate, and here's why I believe that pretty much all of us procrastinate from time to time. It's fear. It's not because you're bored. It's not because you're not talented. It's not because you have writer's block. It's not because you don't know what to write next. It's none of that. It's fear. So the question is, what are you afraid of? And the answer is different for everyone. Like if you're afraid of spiders, I can't necessarily get to where I can correlate your procrastination and writing with your fear of spiders. But here's what I hear time and again. And when I hear it, I go, because it's me too. It's a fear of being finished. And let me explain that. So when you're in the process of doing anything, whether it's writing a book, or for me, maybe I'm doing a DIY project in the house. And by DIY, I mean like tearing out a whole room and building up new walls and all that kind of stuff. There's a fear of being finished, because then it's like, what comes next? Okay. So in the area of DIY, right now I'm rebuilding my office and I'm in the middle of lighting, and lighting shouldn't be a big deal. It's kind of fun. I have some cool wire. I'm pretty excited about it. I have pulleys hanging from the ceiling. It's going to be great. But what I know is that when I'm finished wiring, the next part of the project is building the bookshelf. And I'm halfway through that, but I'm at a sticking point. And so it's almost as though by not finishing the wiring, I can delay, seemingly inevitably, the completion of the bookshelf, which, by the way, delays, possibly inevitably, the completion of the office and my ability to work in it, so that when I do these videos for you guys, I have a delightful background, which I'm so excited to share with you. When it comes to book writing, there are two fears that creep up on people more than anyone else. One is, oh my God, if I write this, I'm ultimately going to finish it, and then I'm going to have to publish it, and I don't even know what to do. Like, that whole thing is so overwhelming that where do I even start? Whatever. Don't worry about that, because that's where the step-by-step course, workshop, all that comes in. I can get you through that part. So now we've checked that off your list. Here's the bigger fear, and this is the one that I have as well. If I finish writing the book, I have to actually release it once I figure out how to release it, of course. And when I do that, someone might say they don't like it. Like, what if, right? All these what ifs start going through our head. What if I've spent all this time and energy, and for many of us, emotion, creative emotion, personal emotion, whatever it is, investing in this piece of art, and it sucks? Like, what if nobody buys it? What if someone tells me I'm terrible? What if someone says that I should never have done this? Like, I don't have the credentials, we've talked about this before, to be a writer. So what if someone proves that to be entirely correct? Like, I should not, I hate the word should, you know that, ever have done this. So it's the fear of actually putting ourselves out there, putting our words out there, putting our art out there. If you're an entrepreneur, it's oftentimes the fear of being seen as less credible than you want to be. So it's the fear of being seen as potentially a little bit of a fraud. It's the idea that your ideas and your strategies might not work for everyone. And because they don't work for everyone, that makes you less credible. Please keep in mind your strategies won't work for everyone, but they will work for someone's, and that's your market. Whole other topic. So here's my strategy when I find myself procrastinating, because it happens. I've written 4 books, guys, and it happens on the daily when it comes to writing. I'm like, what am I so afraid of? Because once you can assess the answer to that question, you can actually deal with it. If what you're afraid of is putting your work out into the world and being criticized, or what you're afraid of is that you're going to have to actually sell and you don't like selling, if what you're afraid of is that you don't understand the steps that you're going to have to take to get the book out into the world, if what you're afraid of is that you have a 20-cent a day budget for advertising and you're like, I have no idea how long this is going to take me, then just say it out loud, and then we can work toward the solution. Whether that's reframing your fears around your own worth, your own value, your own skills, talents, stories, whatever, or whether it's not even reframing, it's reminding you that the process of publishing a book is actually the easiest part. It's the part where people get the most overwhelmed because they don't understand all the steps involved, but it's the easiest part. Because not if you have no clue what you're doing, but once you know and have been given the step-by-step, do this, register this, hire this person, design this, put this in the thing, you just do it a step at a time. It's like, again, we run into procrastination with it often, because once you get to that last step, what's left to do? Hit publish, figuratively, right? And go, why isn't anyone buying it? And then you move into that. And you actually have to ask, why isn't anyone buying it? Maybe because you haven't mentioned it yet to anyone. Like, this whole word of mouth thing is complete BS, guys. It doesn't work. It really doesn't work. Like, if the top authors and the top businesses and Elon Musk and everybody else have to run ads for the Tesla, like, word of mouth is still, it's good, it's great, it helps, but it's not the be all end all. Why? Because Elon Musk still wants new customers. So, like, that don't know anyone who has a Tesla. So clearly there was a Tesla yesterday in front of me in the pickup line, and I was like, that is just a gorgeous piece of creation right there. So at any rate, that's what procrastination is to me. It's what it's been to me for over a decade. It's how I combat it every single time. Some people try to push through and yell at yourself and have other people yell at you. I've heard it all. I've done the same thing. You try to create challenges. You try to, like, give yourself, put it on your calendar. All those things can work for sure, but they don't get you past the core reason why you're procrastinating. So I encourage you to ask yourself what you're afraid of, and then ask yourself, how can I push past that? Because that 9 times out of 10 solves the procrastination, and in many ways will create the motivation that you need to keep moving forward. Because once you remove the procrastination and you start getting back into the whole mindset of I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, then you're like, and the writing just comes, right? The ideas just come, the writing, you're excited about it again, because it's not that you have writer's block. It's not that you have a lack of mojo. It's that you're afraid of what comes next. So let me know in the comments below how many of you are struggling with procrastination and how you deal with it, and what's worked and what hasn't worked, and what you're committed to doing from this point forward to help yourself out in that area. I'll talk to you soon.